Welcome back to Wood Turning Basics. Master wood turner Dave Hout is about to help me turn my first project, a basic bowl. To make the bowl, here's what we'll need: a 5/8" bowl gouge, a parting tool, an electric sander with 100, 150, and 220 grit sandpaper, a 4-inch section of PVC pipe that measures 3 inches in diameter, and a block of maple wood. The piece to be turned is called a blank.
Maple is obviously a wood that's very readily available in most of the parts of the United States. So it's a real nice wood for bowls. And maple...
Can you use any kind of wood for bowls? Or?
You literally can turn almost any kind of wood. Some of my favorites are some of the fruit woods. Any good hardwood is always a good wood for bowls.
And this looks like it's right out of your backyard.
It literally is. This is a tree that blew down in my backyard
Wow.
in a storm. And so you can literally find wood almost anywhere. Even firewood, right out of a firewood pile can
Really?
be turned. So
wow.
it makes it a nice, ready source for us for turning.
After some basic safety tips like not wearing long sleeves or baggy clothing, we're nearly ready to begin. Dave and I are both wearing safety glasses.
Okay, well, are we ready to go to the lathe?
We're ready to go to the lathe.
Dave has already marked the center points of our maple blank and lines it up between the head and tail stocks.
We can just put that right onto the points here. And we'll slide this tail stock up and do the same thing with this other side.
How important is it that you get it exactly on center?
Well, it doesn't have to be perfectly centered at this point.
And there is another safety concern: the speed of the lathe.
It's very important that the speed match the piece. And when I say that it matched the piece, I'm talking about the diameter of the piece, how big around it is, because the larger it gets, the more surface speed we have. So rather than worrying about how fast it's spinning, it's how fast this surface is coming by the tool.
That sounds complicated.
I know it sounds
Okay.
complicated, but it's easy. The bigger it is, the slower the lathe should be going.
Oh, okay.
So that's
how
really
do
all
you
you have
know?
to...
Do you just sort of learn that as the more you work with the
Yes,
lathe?
and if we want to get complicated, there's a formula that you can actually use. If you take the diameter of the piece times the revolutions per minute, the RPM, that number should fall between 6,000 and 9,000. So again, if this is an 8-inch diameter bowl, if we were at 1,000 RPMs, to make the math easy, that's 8,000. We wouldn't want to exceed much more than that.
And there's one more thing I need to know. It has to do with the direction of the wood grain.
If I gave you this knife and this pencil and asked you to sharpen this for me, which way would you sharpen it?
This way.
Okay. What would happen if you tried to go the other way? And I know you might cut yourself.
Yeah,
but
that would be
not
my
that.
first reaction.
What would it do to the wood? What would the knife do if you tried to come the other way?
It would chip up little pieces.
Dave explains that cutting with the grain produces a much smoother finished project, and in the end will require less sanding.
Now, how do you know the grain is running in that direction? Because of this particular cut, this chunk of wood, or can you see it? Can you feel it?
You can
How do
actually, you
determine
can
it?
literally see it. If we look at this side, right here, the grain is running this way through this piece. And that is evident because this is where the bark was, and if I turn it like this, that's how the tree was growing. The bark was
right.
around the outside of the tree, the grain is up and down.
So it's
it's
going this way.
It's relatively easy to identify that. And we're just going to start. Now, you're going to put your left hand on the tool, and we're going to start.
And actually, before we start, this looks, it's a big chunk of wood turning quickly. Should I be afraid, or is there anything that I should be anticipating?
The only thing, obviously, that's why you don't have long sleeves and loose jewelry, anything that might get caught. Other than that, it's really quite safe, again, as long as you start off at a reasonable speed.
Okay.
And we're around 700 RPMs for this diameter. That's very safe and should be fine.
Whoa!
Now, if the tool starts to bounce too much,
Right.
if you use this hand to hold down against the tool rest,
That stabilizes
that will
it.
stabilize it and dampen out an awful lot of that.
How much pressure do you put on that?
Very little. you want to watch the handle of the tool
And I'm
and
not
how
wor-
I have to direct the handle to make the tool go where I want it to go.
Okay. And I'm not worrying about the shape, the ultimate shape of the bowl yet. I'm just trying to get all that rough wood off. Still at this
Exactly. We
point?
aren't really too much concerned with that final shape at this point.
Okay.
Dave tells me that all wood turning tools are made with a bevel, a kind of ridge, and at the tip of the bevel is the cutting surface.
Jane, let me show you kind of in slow motion exactly how this cut is taking place so you can see it. Here's the bevel of the tool, back here, riding the wood. And then we bring the handle very slightly, this is a real minute move, around until that cutting edge just starts to cut. And you see the curl coming off?
Right.
That's exactly the right position.
The trick is to keep the bevel in contact with the wood while you turn. But surprisingly, you don't do that with just your hands and arms.
And I should note that I'm standing back so you can really see.
Right.
Normally you would get up really close and work so that you're close to the machine, and it gives you much better control with the
Okay.
tool against your body. You don't want your arms stretched out
Okay.
because
it's
it's hard to control,
Okay.
and because of the way we're made, the lever, as your arm goes out, it tends to move the handle. If it's against your side and you move with your legs, it's much, much better. So you want it, most of the motion when you're turning the bowl will be with your legs and not with your hands and arms.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try my own bowl now. This looks easier than I thought it would be.
Finally, the moment of truth.
Anything
Okay.
else I should know?
That's it. Let's turn it on and do it.
I'm more than a little bit nervous flipping the switch for the first time.
It looks a little wobbly.
It'll be fine. We're going to
Okay.
make it smooth and not wobbly very
Okay,
soon.
and then this, can I hold this against my
Yeah,
hand against
sure,
this for stability?
absolutely. Okay.
Okay, woo.
Roll the tool over. There you go.
That's easier than I thought it would be.
Good.
It's taking little bits off at a time, huh?
Okay, this is getting fun now.
Wow, like butter. That's great. Except I haven't gone very far.
That's all right. This takes a little bit. Now, take the handle around this way. Now, it wants to bounce there.
So hold it firm.
There you go. Okay? As
Okay.
you push forward, you're pushing it away from your body, and it's pulling the handle around. You need to move your entire body with the tool as you move forward.
Okay.
After 15 minutes of turning, I was beginning to get the hang of things. Or so I thought.
Don't move the tool around like that. Keep the handle here and slide forward like that. Okay? And one more pass and we're going to be good. There we go. Now we're just going to let that come off, and that's it.
Well, so far, so good. After an hour of instruction, I've managed to cut most of the bark off the blank. When we come back, Dave shows me how to hollow the inside of the bowl. Next on DIY's Wood Turning